going to go through the timeline of events to let you know how this tragedy occurred, but keep in mind that this is still a pending investigation that goes beyond the authorities of the Sheriff's Office because there's a flight component attached to it, the FAA, etc. Earlier this morning at approximately 8:41 a.m., we received a distress call or an emergency medical call where an individual was involved in a car accident with her daughter, and the call for services was going to require our flight medic program, our aviation unit, to come pick this person up to get them to definitive care as they were suffering life-threatening injuries. Our unit, our aviation unit, also known as Air 85, was launched 1 minute within that call for service. They went airborne at about 8:42, and roughly around 8:43, they start recognizing that they were having mechanical issues on board. They put out a distress signal notifying the local fire rescue team that they would not be able to land, therefore they were not going to have an opportunity to help these people who were injured. They were fighting for their own life. A fire broke out on board. They did their very best, from my understanding now, to try to extinguish that fire, but additional mechanical issues occurred, resulting in our unit crashing into one of our local residents here. And that crash resulted in 2 people losing their life. The first of which is one of our civilians here. A lady in her home died in this tragedy. The second of which is one of my firefighters. We lost one of our captains today who was on board, serving this community, hoping that he would get a chance to do what he does best, which was land and extract and rescue somebody else. Unfortunately, in the crash, he was trapped, could not get out, and we lost him. I'm going to go through the members of our flight unit who had participated in this effort to save someone else's life, as we lost one of our own. The members of our flight team consist of BSO firefighter paramedic Michael Kaya-Seda, 31 years old, been with the agency for 5 years now. The second, BSO fire rescue pilot Darren Roche, 37 years of age, has been with BSO for 4 years. And of course, our captain, our fallen captain, Terryson Jackson, 50 years of age, has been with the organization for 19 years. And forgive me because I knew Terryson personally for over 14 years. This tragedy is really going to challenge us as a community, as every single tragedy has done since this agency's been around. And I will tell you, we are hurting. We are a nation that has gotten past all its different divisions over the year and became a family. And so we're going to suffer, we're going to hurt, but this community should know we're prepared to answer the next call. We are not going to lose our focus, even though we're hurting and we're dealing with our own tragedy. I want to take a moment to recognize some people who are here with us. I have my entire command staff, along with Fire Chief Tim Keith, who I'm going to turn it over for a moment, as he also has a personal relationship with, Terryson, who we lost, one of our captains, but he's also the commander of the Fire Rescue Department. I also want to thank the mayor for coming out and standing alongside of us to support us during this tough time. Once the Fire Chief have a chance to speak, then we'll come back and maybe I'll answer some questions you may have. So I'll turn it over to Fire Chief Keith.
Sheriff, thank you. Captain Jackson Terryson typified what it meant to be a brother firefighter. He perished doing what he loved, and we appreciate the outpouring of support from our fellow fire rescue agencies, law enforcement brothers and sisters in this time of tragedy. And most of all, thank you to Sheriff Tony and the Undersheriff for their leadership during this difficult time. At this time, I can't implore the heartfelt thanks on behalf of the Broward Sheriff's Office Department of Fire Rescue and Emergency Services from all the members of the community that have reached out in this time. Thank you.
Excellent. I'll answer any technical questions, and I'm sure the mayor probably want to say a few words as well. Any questions related to the incident in itself?
Yeah, how did the other two firemen manage to get out of the helicopter?
Sure. So right now, fortunately, they were able to, crawl themselves out to safety. They both are in the hospital right now. They did suffer some injuries, but they're going to be able to survive and recover from those injuries.
So they did not kind of ejected. They crashed.
No, it was a crash. Correct. There's not an ejection button in a helicopter, unlike a fixed wing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So are they life-threatening injuries?
Right now, I had an opportunity to go to the hospital. Both of them look like they're going to recover really well. No injuries that was life-threatening, but we'll let the hospital continue to take care of them before we have a final answer in terms of their well-being.
Sheriff, can you tell us about Terryson Jackson, what kind of person he was, so that we can give the family some dignity and privacy in this time?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question. Look, you heard the fire chief said, you heard me say it. Terryson was a rock star. He was one of the best of us, one of the brightest. He bled this profession inside and out all day long. There's almost 6,000 people in this agency. I'm not going to meet everybody, and I haven't. But that man I knew very well. And the type of effort and commitment he had for this community, impeccable.
Sheriff, they were on their way to go respond to an accident involving a woman and her child.
That's right.
In North Lauderdale?
There was in North Lauderdale. The call came out about 8:41. They were in the air within a minute. They were, mayday and putting out the distress within 2 minutes. And throughout that time, they even still had the foresight to notify the local fire department that we weren't going to be able to land and that they needed to be able to get there and rescue these people. So we're talking about the character of these men and women, or these men in this case, on this aviation unit. As they were fighting for their life, they were worried about somebody else's. What else can you say about that type of character?
Do you have the age of the lady that...
I do not have it at this point in time. When it's appropriate, as you can imagine, we're still doing family notifications. We're still having concerns about them because they lost someone as well. When we have the time and it's appropriate, we'll have it released.
Sheriff, the captain, has he always flown, or did he have other? To my memory, this is probably the first crash of a BSO emergency chopper.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'm not sure how long Terryson was in the aviation program, but he was there for a while. You have to look at it in the sense of it's not just a loss for fire rescue or for the whole agency. It's really a loss for the whole community. You brought up something of interest. Well, we haven't had, it's been quite some time since we lost a firefighter in the line of duty under these type of tragic situations. So there's going to be a lot of evaluation, a lot of assessments. We're going to look at the things that needs to get done so we can prevent this type of tragedy from happening again. But in the meantime, we're recovering. We're making sure we're processing the scene appropriately, and we're worried about our personnel. All right, this one hurts.
Sheriff, can you talk to us about the distress call that was made by Terrence? Did he describe what was happening with the chopper?
Terrence wasn't the flight pilot. I can't give you the specifics, but throughout that process, when they went airborne, the first thing they started noticing, they were having mechanical issues. So they went through protocols, notified, over at the airport, Tower Command, hey, we're having problems. Excellent job. Just shout out to them because they cleared the path. The airport cleared the path for our person to come in as a priority. But unfortunately, the mechanical issues were so severe, we never even made it out of this area.
The other two survived because of where they were seated, or how they were that
From what I've been able to assess from the scene and hearing about what occurred, fate just didn't call them for their time. There's no rhyme or reason why they survived and we lost Terryson, or vice versa, a civilian died. All of them could have truly have been killed in this accident, every single one of them.
Wow. Sheriff, anybody else on the ground that was in that apartment building injured?
As of right now, that's one of the things we want to make sure we're very particular about. So the residents set fire, of course, and it really damaged a lot of different scene integrity in terms of how did this happen, who was where. So we went through our checks and balances to make sure we didn't miss anyone, verifying with the neighbors, the family members, etc. Hey, was there any other person in the house? Did your niece come in at midnight and she not accounted for? We haven't got that. So right now, I think that we're in a change. It's no longer a rescue mission. It's a recovery component, but it's also a crime scene or an accident scene that has to be processed.
Sheriff, throughout the morning, we were speaking to a family. They said that they had two family members in the unit where the helicopter came crashing. So this woman that has passed, was she one of the people that was in that?
I'm not sure who you spoke to in terms of family members, but most certainly where the helicopter ended up crashing, we lost a victim or a civilian was killed inside of that residence.
And two others were transported to the hospital from the two other civilians.
The two members that were transported were our fire personnel, two of our firefighters.
And no other civilian was transported?
Yes, that's my understanding, correct.
Okay. And how many units have bad damage in that building?
One more time.
How many units have bad damage in that building?
Be honest with you, I'm not assessing the damage to the buildings. I'm worried about my guys. Right now, property can get repaired and fixed. We have insurance for these type of things, not to mitigate it, but the most important priority right now is we lost really two people in an accident, and we're going to look at what can we do to better ourselves to make sure we mitigate these type of things. We are the only Air Force in this county. Make sure you get this clip. We're the only flight unit here in this county. We handle medical extractions, we deal with law enforcement extractions, and this is the most important regional services that we can have here in this community. and it has to be funded appropriate. We have to have the necessary tools and equipment to be successful. So don't ignore the fact that this is the most essential component that we offer as a public safety service for this community. All right, it's starting to rain. We'll give you an update when we get it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience.